All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to just a quick impromptu training because we had lots of things going on in July. Dan Bell's FIBC call. We had Optavia Live, and we didn't really get to Zoom at all. So I just thought about it. Shelly actually brought it up the other day, was asking, and then I was kind of thinking back and forth. And then today I was like, well, why not? I mean, we may as well, because even if just a few of us hop on, it's worth it. And there's another little thing that we're celebrating. So not little, it's a big deal. I'm going to have Dana come on and chat about that in a minute here. But it is July 30th, 2020, end of the month. It's actually been, I don't know, it's been a pretty great July in comparison to a lot of other years of July, because usually July is kind of a little bit of a downturn. So I feel like this has been pretty stable month. So that's a good thing. And then coming into August, September, it should start coming up again, and some more people are ready to get healthy and hop on and join our mission. All right, so to get going, I just really wanted to come on and kind of just talk. Maybe anybody could share about their Optavia Live, maybe a takeaway or something they're implementing, or if anybody wants to share kind of what they're doing for the end of the month. So maybe some newer coaches could learn from that, because kind of all have our things that we do at the end of the month to just, if we're pushing for something more, more new rank or help more people, helping a coach. So we can chat about that. But first, foremost, I wanted to come on, bring Dana March on, because Dana is celebrating something pretty epic today. So I'm not going to steal anything from her, because I'm just going to let her kind of share what that is. Dana, you ready? I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you. So 3 years ago, well, I started coaching 4.5 years ago, January 6th of 2016. But 3 years ago, I woke up, literally, I went, I'm not going back to my teaching job. So I taught 8th grade for 13 years, and I loved it. I did. But kids change, parents change, like all these changes were happening, not quite like now. Thank God I'm not a teacher anymore. Oh my gosh. I pray for them. I don't know how they're going to do it with all this COVID. But I remember talking to Jason, and I said, I'm not, and this was Jason, I don't know if you'll remember, a while back. And I said, I'm not really the adventurous type. I'm not the type to skydive. I don't like trying scary things. And he said, but you left your job. And that was pretty adventurous. I was like, wow, I never looked at like that. And I just remember feeling so unhappy there and not content, yet Optavia was providing our family with a life we didn't even know possible. But to backtrack a little, when I started coaching, I went into it with probably blinders on. I was like, I just want to help people. There's so many people looking to get healthy. Why wouldn't you share this? And after a few months, I went to executive director. And those of you who are new coaches may not know what executive director is. And that's when you're helping about 17 people. And then, I was really consistent. And then life happened. And we moved. And I must have quit posting. I don't know what I did, but I just know my 17 clients weren't being supported the way I could have supported them. And I was kind of back to square one. And I don't know what changed my thinking. It was probably this community and trainings and just being in love with the company and their mission, that I said, I'm going to go for this again. And I did what I needed to do, started posting consistently. And it's not just about posting consistently. I was thinking before coming on this Zoom, and I won't keep you too long, the teacher in me wants to plan, but then part of me just wants to wing it, because sometimes when we wing it, it comes out more authentic and better. And as I was kind of doing a little deep breathing and thinking, I was trying to figure out what is it that holds people back. And I could tell you one of the things I think I notice is people are waiting to get their shit together. They're waiting for everything to be right. And I can tell you, with COVID in these last 5 months, I've had so much anxiety. And if coaching was new to me, it would have been very hard. But I know I have created consistent posting, and when I get up and I try to inspire people and I put recipes out there. I don't have my shit together and my life isn't always perfect, but when I'm serving others, Doug Wood said this once, and I'm sure a bunch of others, when we serve others, we serve ourselves. And so if anyone's out there waiting for, your life to be great and everything to be great and organized and perfect, it's not going to happen. You just have to keep going. And I see so many people just stop. I don't know why. And I think when we just stop, whether it's our health journey or our postings, or that's the time we need to reach out to our mentors. And I shared with Jason a few months ago, he's like, I wish you told me earlier. I'm like, I'm just having a really hard time emotionally, and poor Jason, 48-year-old Dana going through a lot of emotions. And I don't know why or how, but he is very supportive. And I felt better about that. And so we all have a team and a community to lean into. And I know all of us can say consistency is key. I don't have any magic, anything I do. I'm just out there all the time, because you don't know when that person's going to, I always say this, go to the doctor and the doctor says, listen, you have to lose weight. They walk out the door feeling defeated. Who are they going to turn to? And we can help change lives. And so as we change their lives, we change ourselves. 3 years full time, best decision ever, and still a lot of work to do. So that's all.
Yay! That was really good. And Dana, I know earlier you were like, I don't know if I have much to share, but I think everybody would agree, like, that was all such good stuff, such good insight.
Thank you.
I know you were talking about, like, oh, poor Jason. Well, I kind of feel like my life kind of set me up for this, because it's me and then a lot of women, correct? I mean, I'm trying to balance. I'm really working on balancing this a little bit, but not because I don't love all the ladies and you guys are amazing. But when I was growing up, I spent most of my time with my grandma or my mom. All my first cousins are all girls. I obviously, in my house and our camper, are surrounded by a bunch of women. So sometimes I feel like this is what I was made for. So anyways, thank you, Dana. I appreciate that. And that was all, like, such good stuff. And I think sometimes when we see people that have been, like, ultra successful, we forget that they went through the same crap that we did, right? They went through the same second guessing, the same struggles of, like, can I do this? Is this right? I mean, all of us have gone through. I'm sure that everybody on this line right now has gone through it. I know I have. Like, has anybody ever cried over their business? I have. I mean, yeah. So it's not going to be perfect. But what I think, Dana, you caught early on, and then you had your ups and downs, but you caught on, like, what it could be. And I look at your sunset in the background, and it's just beautiful, right? And it's like, if you can catch that vision, if you can catch that picture and see, like, how beautiful life can be if you keep pushing forward. And that doesn't mean, like, there's not going to have some really bad days. It doesn't mean you're not going to have some internal struggles. People are going to quit. Guess what? People are going to boo-hoo and take a bite of a bar and be like, oh, I can't do this program. Like, that happens. But that shouldn't stop your mission. That shouldn't shut you down from what you're doing. Unfortunately, that person is not going to get the change that we hope they do, because I think all of us are just like, we do this because we know how much it's changed our lives, how much it can change somebody else's life, but it might not be the right fit for people. And that's okay. And same with coaching too. Like, I love this. This has been the best thing I've ever done. And I thought I was going to be at my job till I was 60, whatever. Like, that was the plan, right? Is the 50-40, like, work 50 hours a week for 40 years and then hopefully retire okay. I never even realized what was out there and waiting for us before we found this and caught the vision of it. So if we can help people catch a glimpse of that sunset and say like this is what's waiting for you, that's where I think people will really start pushing through. And when those obstacles come up, they're like, okay, that's fine, it's just another learning experience. Like what was it, Nancy Strauss said on Optavia Live, she was talking about like, oh, it's like this growth, this gift of growth, but it's wrapped in a really ugly wrapping paper. So it's never going to be pretty. It's never going to be how we want it. But you open that gift up, and you're like, a year later, 2 years later, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is my life now. Like, how is that even possible? So for some of you newer coaches, I don't know. Maybe you don't want to create a bigger business. You could just want to help a few people. That's awesome. That you're helping the world no matter what. So I don't ever want to paint too big of a vision, but I also don't want to paint too little of a vision, because I mean, that's why I think people miss out. They don't see like how much you can impact people with this. You can impact thousands of lives, tens of thousands of lives if you keep doing it. So um, I don't know. That was really good, Dana. Thank you. So I was wondering if anybody had maybe a takeaway from Optavia Live that they are, I know right after the fact, we all have our takeaways, we all have our quotes that we like, but maybe something this week after that that's kind of resonated with you, or maybe something has shifted like after the fact. Does anybody have anything they'd be open to share? Awkward silence.
I'll
I
go.
see Amy. Hey, Amy.
I've been really, really, really brave since live about reaching out to people that so I just don't have a lot of friends. I mean, I started this business with maybe 100 friends, and I know I need a lot more, but just about starting those conversations, because I just feel so much more confident after the convention, and I'm new. So I guess it was really good for me to get that. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, I think that's great. Like, I think it's a shift between like saying like, oh, I don't want to bother them, or I don't know how they're going to take it, and then being like on mission and just saying, I need to share this. Like, I need to figure out a way that I can talk to this person about it. So today we signed a client that I kind of like, I don't know, it's probably been like maybe a year or two trying to kind of not get him, but you know what I mean? Like, get the conversation started with him. And he used to work out at the same gym with me. Like, I kind of thrown out some hints because he's just like killing himself at the gym but not seeing any results. And it's just one of those things where I'm just like, when somebody finally gets it, you're like, yes, I get a chance to help them. And he reached out the other day and he's like, all right, I'm ready. I'm like, yes, we get to like give him a chance to change his life. And when you kind of like grab onto that, I think it makes it a lot easier to talk to people about it. Because Amy, you're coming from a good place. Like, where it feels weird is when you're coming to like just make a buck on somebody, and that's not our mission at all. It's like, I want to see that person thrive. I want to see that person feel good. Like him, I want to see him being able to do whatever he wants and play with his kids for a long, long time. So when you can grab onto that, I think it makes it a lot easier. It doesn't mean it's always simple. We still get in our own way. Like, I overthink. I'm the super overthinker. I don't know if anybody else does that, but like, I overthink everything. I'm like, oh, what are they gonna do? But it's still like, I still figure out a way to do it. And just finally, sometimes I just go, oh, forget it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just send the message. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I sent it. Like, but you know what? It's okay if they say no. Okay. We get so scared of somebody saying no that it just like stops us in our tracks. And then they say no, and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Didn't really ruin anything. Okay. All right. Now I know. Now I can move on. Go find the other person that's ready to make a change. So thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have something that maybe after the fact of Optavia Live has kind of resonated with you. And, there's all these other breakout sessions that I got to get into as well. So I know that there's probably a lot of good stuff in there too. We should probably put some of that in that Facebook group that we had once we start watching those and do some watch parties. Anybody else have something they want to share?
I can go, Jason.
Hey, Terry.
Hi. I really liked Dan's speech. I found during his session it was just the obstacles and how sometimes we have to view the obstacles so differently. We view them as stumbling blocks where they really are an educational tool, essentially, and we have to look at them as that. Not get so frustrated with the fact that we've hit an obstacle, but figure out whether we have to teach ourselves to learn to get around that obstacle, or there's something we need to learn in the obstacle itself, and then work past that so that we don't get so defeated that we do give up. Because again, being a new coach trying to start a business, it can get a little frustrating when you don't grow. Sometimes as quick as you and your brain feel that it should just do it. So I really liked Dan's.
Dan did one, and Dan was like all fired up. So
He's always fired up.
yeah, and if he's not, it doesn't take him long to get fired up.
Right.
I like too about Dan's is just his comfort level, because obviously he's been on stage and stuff like that, but like he just came out like there was no awkwardness. Well, I mean, there's always awkwardness with Dan, but you know what I mean? Like there was no being on video awkwardness, and he just came out and just kind of owned it. But I remember, I don't if it was like one of the like FIBC events or one of the ones that we had out in Arizona. I can't remember which one that was called, but Dan was talking about like stacking obstacles or stacking no's, kind of, stacking those things on top of each other. So it's like you're reaching for this goal that's way high, and you can't jump to get it, and all you can do is kind of like build almost like a ladder up to it, right? And what he's talking about was like just stacking these, I think he was talking about no's, but stacking these obstacles on top of each other, and they're just building blocks to get better. It's like Jim Rohn has that quote, "Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better." And the only way you're going to get better is through that struggle and through learning a new skill to overcome it. And because it's like, they talk about watching the movie where everything goes right. What a boring movie that would be. Have you ever watched a movie where there's no obstacle? There's always the villain, right? There's always the villain doesn't have to be a person, but there's always something they have to overcome. And, if you watch a movie where everybody's just like, oh, everything worked out for me, you would be like, you suck. I don't like this movie. I'm never watching it again, because we want to root for those people. So why don't we root for ourselves in those obstacles? Like, why don't we go, dang it, Terry, like you could do this, like get in there. And maybe you don't have the skill set right now. Maybe you don't have the knowledge right now, but you know what? You can learn it. You can build, like, if you're not finding the people that you want to in your Facebook list, guess what? You can go find new people in Facebook groups. You can go friend request new people. Like, there's no reason for anybody to stop over an obstacle. It's just taking a step back and going, okay, I feel this. This is something I'm pushing against here. I don't have all the skill set yet. How can I get that? What do I need to learn to get past that?
One of the things
stuff. Go ahead.
That I used to constantly, and I don't even know why until recently, I didn't actually think about applying it to myself, but when I used to train all of our new staff, I used to stress to them that we actually learn from our failures. We don't learn from our successes. So if we jumped right out and we succeeded right away, we wouldn't learn as much. So that's just something that we need to sort of wrap our head around. And, being adults, sometimes I think we just want to go to the quick win because it makes our life easier. But we have to learn from those failures. So the struggling is part of it.
Yes, it's the, Tammy, I remember you probably were learning this in TLDP, but it's like the success hill or whatever you want to say. You go up and then you get there and then you kind of drop back down a little bit, right? And And sometimes too, like some people that maybe their business like just took off right away and they're like, oh, this is easy. Why is everybody having such a problem? Guess what? They're going to run into an obstacle too. And they're going to be like, well, why is this so hard all of a sudden? Because they went to that next level. It's like the law of the lid, right? You can only grow as much as you grow personally. So you have to start building up you, and then you can bust up through that next level. So, and of course, that's always the obstacles, because if everything was easy, then you wouldn't have any reason to get on podcast, or you wouldn't have any reason to hop on training and be like, I got this. Like every call I do, somebody signs up. We know that's not the case. So does anybody have anything, maybe a couple tips for newer coaches for month end or beginning of the month? The one thing I would say is if you're running for something at the end of the month, don't give in to the month end hangover and just keep going, because a lot of times we just work. And then for the next 2 weeks, we just take off. And then it leaves us at the end of the month again, working like crazy instead of just keeping that momentum going. But does anybody have any tips that they're doing to kind of close out the month? No, anybody? Or I'm just going to pick on somebody. I'm going to call Tammy. I know you got something you could share. Yes.
It would be that there's a dog playing with
there's a dog. I see it.
So
That just makes it even better.
If anybody can concentrate with a squeaky toy in the back. Because I can't. So end of the month. Well, let's talk about all of those health assessments that you have done throughout the month. What a great time to reach back, follow in. Maybe go in if they're in health and wholeness group. Reach out, say, hey, what are you loving about the group? Anything stick out to you right now? Or is there any recipes you're looking for? Bring a reason to pull them back into the group. So like Shelly has talked about a lot, like she tags like every couple days. So when she starts with one video and then a couple days later, so that way she's helping them to see more content in the group, which is putting things in front of them more. Stay in conversation. We're seeing like some of the coaches are doing the hearts, like how much weight would you like to lose before the end of the year or something like that. What a great time to start those conversations and just being like, hey, do you have a plan on what you plan on doing? Don't go at it to sell something to someone, but to be genuinely interested in what they're doing, because maybe they're not ready right now, but guess what? August is one of those months, if you're doing the work, August is kind of a little bit like, almost like January, because in the normal world, now granted, like COVID has kind of put things a little weird, but in the normal world, summer is ending, school's starting, and people are ready to get back into structure. So if you go at it strong to try to finish out this month the best that you can, but continue to keep your foot on the gas pedal, the rest of the year could be really, really great for you. And maybe it's the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, maybe even 120, to just keep making touches with people, and it's all going to pay off. Like maybe you won't see it today or tomorrow, but you will eventually if you keep doing the work. That's it.
Perfect. Nothing really to add there, except do that heart post. Go on my page, or I think Dana did it. Because doing that every like month or couple of months is such a great way to engage with people. But before you do that, go and engage with new people. Go down the bottom of your friends list, because if you go down your friends list, what it does is Facebook actually puts the people that you interact with the most like at the top. So if you scroll all the way down, those are the people that aren't really seeing your stuff. So connect with them, comment on some stuff, send them a message, and then throw that out there, because there's going to be some new people that may be looking for something that just aren't seeing your post. So that would be a great, I just did it because I saw, I think Dana did it or somebody did it. And I was like, ooh, I got to do that. So just go out there, copy and paste. It'll take you literally 30 seconds, and then get in there and connect with that. Make sure you're watching that post, because those can blow up sometimes, but it's a great opportunity to invite people into health and wholeness. So exactly like Tammy was saying, you don't go and like, hey, you should do my program, but you say, hey, so thanks for commenting. So you want to lose 20 pounds by the end of the year. what are you doing? What's your plan? Do you have any plan? And then you can just have that conversation. And by the end of it, you can say, not sure if you'd be interested, but would you ever be open to check out what we do? And sometimes they'll say, sure. Or they'll say, maybe not right now. I'm kind of doing my own thing. I'm like, hey, great. You know what? We have a great Facebook group that we share healthy tips, recipes, success stories. I think you'd love it. It'd probably be a really good, positive place for you while you're on your health journey. Would you like me to invite you to it? And there you go. And then you have your social proof or your drip, and you can connect just like Shelly does so great of just kind of plugging back in, tagging people and things. It's such a great resource.
Also, I want to add something else. No matter what, like, you should be sharing some aspect of your journey at least once a week. And that does not always mean it's a weight loss post. Like NSDs, like pick one NSD that you're noticing about yourself. Like fact that you might be comfortable in shorts right now, or you're feeling good in your clothes, or you have energy to be outside and doing things. Whatever that is, share about it. And then if you are in like active fat loss phase, definitely like make an accountability post like Carol Hips has talked about. Pick a day of the week and be like, oh, hey, I did really good this week. Something like that. Or just do something to bring people into your journey aspect and make sure that happens at least once a week. Because your story has so much more power than anyone else.
Yes, that's so good. Don't be a before and after machine. Like, it's great to post quotes, great to post recipes, but people need to see you as well. And I mean, don't make this like a regular occurrence. Like, don't make this every single week. But if you are having a struggle, put it out there. Like, let people know, like, hey, listen, I'm not perfect. Guys, I'm home right now and we are eating all the things and I feel like crap. I'm not done with all the things yet, but like, I'm going to have a post about it because there's nothing to hide, right? I mean, we're all human. And the last thing we want to do is think that we've got it figured out when we don't. So by the end of this, maybe I've got 10 pounds to lose. I don't know. I'm now coming back home to Rockford. I'm like, oh, no wonder I had so much struggle because there's a lot of good, bad food around here, And so like, you can share that too. Obviously, you don't want every post to be like, oh, I gained all my weight back. But you can say like, hey, listen, some things I still struggle with. Like, life isn't just perfect, but I have a program, I have a system, I have something that is going to help me get back on track that I know is always here for me. And I mean, that's the post that I'm going to have at the end of this because I'm going to need to get back on program for a couple weeks at least. So, but just be authentic. And that's the biggest thing is just be authentic and live life out loud and let people know who you are because they're following you because of you. Shelly, I see you're off mute. You got something?
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on something Dan Bell talked about, disruption. And that really hit home with me. And I really got on, like I Googled it like for 4 hours one day. And disruption, this is actually a really, really great time for all of us to focus on positive disruptors in our lives because disruption means creating new habits, structures, routines, and in essence, life as we know it. So because we're kind of winding down to the end of summer, because once 4th of July is gone, summer is out the window, and we're getting ready to focus on the last quarter of the year, this is a really, really great time to refocus on your health, refocus on your structure, live that out loud. I've been doing like a stair-step process now the last couple of weeks. Last week I focused on hydration and I had a lot of response and a lot of interaction with people as far as getting in your daily hydration, how much it was. A lot of people were following me, reporting back to me how they were doing on a daily basis. Then this week I added in habits of healthy motion. Next week I'm going to add something else. So again, it's like how we're teaching our clients to start with, the very, very basic steps. And then we're just kind of, just like with coaching too, we're just kind of layering that over time. So this is a really great time to show people how it's possible to start very simply and then just layer in healthy habit after healthy habit after healthy habit in a very simple way. And living that out loud and just staying within that structure and being honest if maybe you don't quite make it that day. And then you're going to see that other people are, kind of doing the same thing too. So this is just a really, really great time to be very consistent because it's really the building blocks for the rest of the year.
Thanks, Shelly. That's good. And you know what's cool too is that we don't have to like be some kind of wizard and try to figure out all these things. You got your life book, you got Habits Health, you got the weekly calls, you got Google, right? I mean, you just Google some things this year. You don't have to be the all-knowing author of everything. All you have to do is just be putting it out there. And one thing that I learned from a podcast, or I'm learning from a podcast, because you'll know why I said that once I say it, is instead of using the words learned, say learning. Because otherwise it seems like you're the teacher, right? You're telling someone how to do it. Instead, you're saying, hey, this is what I'm learning. Why don't you, it makes people want to kind of join you in the journey. Because when we say, oh, I learned it, well, that means like you just know everything. But no, we're all learning. We're all in process. And being able to just bring people into that world, I love that, Shelly. That's such a great idea. Got my wheels turning because I was like, oh, man, we've got the life book. Like that's 20 or 30 weeks of content right there that you can just plug through and say, hey, this is the element or the healthy habit that I'm working on this week. Love it. Practice makes progress. Competence breeds confidence. Okay. Great call. I'm glad we did this. It was good. Good stuff. We got it recorded. So if you know anybody that, not to should on them, but should watch this, go ahead and send it out. We'll get the recording up. And everybody have a great night. Bye.